Travis, the first thing I want to ask you about is that sexual harassment in the workplace. Man, that seemed like such a thing back in the 50s or 60s. Does it really still go on? Have men not wised up yet that that's still an issue going on out there?
Tom, it's probably going on right now somewhere. Sexual harassment is one of those kinds of claims that sadly I think will always be with us. There seems to be some difficulty. Doesn't matter where you are. Where sometimes gentlemen in the workplace aren't always act like gentlemen towards female workers. And it doesn't have to be male and female. It can be male on male sexual harassment. I've handled those cases, and female on female. But oftentimes it's an issue of power more than anything else. When you have unequal power in the workplace, the person on top of the power hierarchy sometimes does not engage appropriately with subordinates.
And so what would be some examples of sexual harassment going on in the workplace? If somebody's calling you and saying this is what's going on, what would you normally hear from them?
Well, there's really two types of sexual harassment that are kind of recognized by federal and state courts. One is what we consider the classic quid pro quo sexual harassment. Quid pro quo being a Latin term meaning something for something. I will give you a raise if you do X, Y, and Z. Or you can keep your job if you do X, Y, and Z. That's something for something, or quid pro quo sexual harassment. The other is really the larger claim, or the more frequent claim, which is known as hostile work environment. And that is where somebody is engaging in either severe or pervasive behavior, typically towards a subordinate, can be a coworker, but typically it's somebody higher in the hierarchy with a subordinate who is engaging in behavior that violates both federal and state law with respect to this issue.
So a little bit of detail about that.
Sure.
As far as we're calling it a subordinate versus a higher up, is that those are the terms we're using here?
Typically, yes.
So is it verboten all situations 100% of the times, never, ever, ever higher up and subordinate, even voluntarily hooking up, I guess is the term I'm using?
Yeah, no. The hallmark, Tom, of a sexual harassment claim is the welcomeness or unwelcomeness of the attention from one party to another. If the attention is welcome, there's no sexual harassment. If it is unwelcome, then you look closer at the activity, the words, and try and make a determination of whether or not it meets the legal standard of sexual harassment.
So if you're a higher up and you're becoming friendly with a subordinate and you're thinking, hey, this might go somewhere, she seems to be welcoming my advancements, would you then tell the higher up, okay, check in with HR first, let them know what's going on. HR is going to talk to the subordinate, make sure it's welcome, and document it, you might say?
Well, it gets tricky. A lot of companies have fraternization policies, or policies that either limit or regulate the kind of interactions that you're allowed to have with your coworkers or your subordinates at work. Sometimes those are written down in employee handbooks, sometimes they are not. But I always would tell somebody who is interested in engaging in some sort of romantic attentions with somebody else in the workplace to tread carefully, because you don't know oftentimes whether or not the object of your affection is welcoming or not welcoming the attention. And so therefore there's some risk involved there, and perhaps the person should look elsewhere for romantic engagements.
That's always probably the wise move. I'm curious, how often is there alcohol involved in the situation? I mean, on a day-to-day basis, everything's good. Then all of a sudden, the Christmas party happens, or they're traveling to a distant town. They're doing meetings in towns, and they're having drinks at night, and the alcohol plays into this what might happen? I mean, how often do you hear that was, well, we were just out drinking and everything, things went south quickly?
I've certainly seen that quite a bit over my career. I'm now 27 years into this legal career of handling employment law claims, and certainly alcohol mixing with men and women in the workplace can oftentimes lead to, at the very least, misunderstandings, and certainly further on down the line, it can lead to claims of sexual harassment or sexual battery, and I've certainly handled those cases as well.
Hey, folks, my guest today is Attorney Travis Hollifield. He's an employment law attorney right here in the Orlando area. Travis, do you represent clients throughout the state of Florida?
I do indeed, from Pensacola to Key West.
Okay. If you've got a question for Travis, we'd love to hear from you right now at 844-580-9326. Travis, of course, your office is located here in Winter Park.
Yes, sir.
But you can represent people throughout the state of Florida.
I can indeed, and I have for many years.